anytime. Appreciate the opportunity to come in and share with your listeners what's going on.
Yeah, I haven't seen you actually in a while. You're busy, I'm busy, but every once in a while I run into you over at the First Rule Media Network because you're interviewing with the Allman Report. I bet you they're going to call you soon because we're coming up on the third anniversary.
You're going to make Jamie jealous. He's going to say, "I got to get the mayor back on."
Got the scoop. So
that's right.
Yeah. So James, let's talk a little bit. The reason it wasn't the third year anniversary that caught me first. It was, and I don't know why I identify you with this, but I just thought, you know what? I want to hear what Mayor Knowles, somebody who's been through some tough situations, weathered the storm well, went through a re-election bid. The people spoke. He was re-elected. And I want to hear what he has to say about Governor Greitens unveiling the safety plan. And you know what? The Post-Dispatch, as you know, my grandmother, may she rest in peace, might say, well, God bless their hearts. I mean,
right.
Tony Messenger and the goon squad over there, I say this in jest on Twitter, but I'm like, do they like anything about Missouri or St. Louis or anybody in it? No, they mainly hate Republicans, but the governor is trying at least. I mean, did Jay Nixon find St. Louis if he wasn't going to a Cardinals baseball game?
No, definitely not. And
James, I want to start off with that, and we don't have to throw salt in the former Governor Nixon's wounds. But I remember you telling me, this has stuck with me. I don't believe that Jay Nixon ever reached out to you before, during, after Ferguson.
No, never. In fact, we can. Everything that needs to be said about Governor Nixon's been said, and
right.
He never stepped up before, never stepped up after. I will say, I got to give Governor Greitens a lot of credit here. Now, look, it's easy for the Post-Dispatch to take Governor Greitens and make him the whipping boy because he's getting it from both sides. I mean, there's Republicans in the legislature that he's having conflicts with,
right?
So for the Post,
but for the Post, it's easy because number one, he's a Republican.
He's a Republican.
He's a white guy. It's 2 strikes, right? What's the third? That he served in the military? They probably hate that too. He
likes, and he's a gun fan. He
likes guns.
He's a pro Second Amendment.
4
guy.
Strikes, 5 strikes, 6 strikes, 7 strikes.
And so
But James, they're
just trying to. No matter what he does, and at least he is proactive in trying to do something.
Right.
No matter what he does, the Post-Dispatch is going to come down on him.
He's in his first year in office, and he has made it a habit of coming to the city of St. Louis and trying to draw attention to the problems the city has coming up with a proposal. So
absolutely. I mean,
were you at
Jay Nixon's mouth him tell me and a group of mayors in St. Louis, look. I'm just I don't remember where, Hillsborough, I think is where he's from.
DeSoto,
yeah. He said, look, I'm just a guy from DeSoto. These problems that you guys are having up here is beyond me. I mean, he admitted that to a group of St. Louis mayors during the unrest in Ferguson. Here's Greitens. He's from St. Louis City.
Right.
He understands what's going on.
Right.
His wife has certainly been victim to some
victim
of the
crime
issues. He came in and said, look, within the first couple months, he came here and announced his public safety pick right there in Ferguson, Delwood area, Resistor Tire, where it said epic fail Jay Nixon for, I think it still says epic fail.
Says it.
Jay Nixon. Here's a guy who has been proactive, and yet still nothing the Post-Dispatch or anybody else can say good about that.
What do you like about the governor's plan? What components do you like?
I think from a perspective of the state, what can the state really do? I mean, the state needs to be able to alleviate some of the pressures that St. Louis law enforcement has on it. And so immediately, I think it's great that the Highway Patrol is coming in to helping do some of the, interdiction along the highway, whether it's speeders, drug traffickers, whatever, anything going on along the highway. People oftentimes don't think about that, those traffic stops is where the officers are able to do some of their first investigatory, work, where they pull somebody over and they smell some marijuana, or they run a guy and they see he's wanted. And so that's, letting those officers come in and do some of that work on the highway and then put those St. Louis police officers back into the neighborhoods is great work. I think there's a lot that you hear the liberal media talk about. Well, we should be talking about some of these higher-minded things. You mean things like Republicans talk about,
right?
Like creating wealth and jobs. If we create wealth and jobs, there wouldn't be a need for all the crime.
Isn't it funny?
If we could work on some education reform to really get some of these guys in these failing school districts educated, maybe educational choice. If we did some of these things, then we could get to the root of the crime problems. But the post-dispatch doesn't like that. They don't like the, quote, heavy-handed side of law enforcement that they claim the governor is using. What do they want?
It's funny that they always want to talk about things that we've already talked about or don't want to talk about. Same thing with the Russian thing. I won't drag you into that, but it's the same thing. It's like conservatives knew that Russia was a problem for 50 years, and I'm like to the Democrats, welcome to the party. So, secondly, James, as we wrap up here, so tell me, the third-year anniversary is coming up next month.
Right.
And I remember last year you said, you know what? We're also going to make this about all that's good about Ferguson. So what kinds of good things do you have planned? Are you planning anything this year? Are you trying to get the community engaged in all the improvements that have happened? I know a lot's been done up there. I know a lot's been done up there because the media isn't reporting any of it. And if there was tragedy, they would definitely be reporting it.
Certainly.
So, yeah.
We just came off having a great 4th of July festival where the entire city came together to celebrate our nation's independence. We'll be working up towards the weekend before the Michael Brown anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have our back to school Unity Fest, which will be a great opportunity again for people from all walks of the community to come out, come together, enjoy some really great communal time,
sure,
as well as get ready for going back to school. We'll be giving out backpacks, things like that over at the YMCA. Street Fest is coming up in September. We have a farmers market every Saturday where you have Black, white, Asian, everybody's coming out.
Those farmers markets, we have one in Eureka too. They're like sweeping the area.
And we've had one for I think we're going on 16 years now.
16 years,
yeah,
wow.
and it's great. And so we have great things that are going on every day of the week, not just on the anniversary, but we do try to make sure that everybody, because we're coming up on back to school, this is an opportunity for the community to come together, rally around education, and support our students.
Last thing I wanted to ask you, have you, and we touched on this a little bit, have you as the mayor of Ferguson, or just as a mayor, just forget about what specific city, because I know you have mayors groups and things like that, and you all kind of get together. Have you noticed a difference between the former gubernatorial administration and this one, as far as this communication with you all?
Yeah, and absolutely. We just had a meeting in Jefferson City. It's within the last month, and the governor just walked into the meeting, and people were surprised that Mayor Sly James in Kansas City has been working to try to bring some more kind of cross-state conversation between some of our regional mayors. And Governor Greitens came in. His staff was there and really wanted to engage with the mayors, and so. I don't know that that's really ever happened when Nixon was there. Nixon would show up at a meeting, he would read a prepared statement and leave before anybody could talk to him. It was a little bit different feel with this governor.
It's just nice to have the executive branch in general, having the Republicans take most of those seats, work with the legislature. So, James, let me, I think we're going to maybe hold them over to the next break. Ken's doing hand motions. I figured it out. We're like almost in the same wavelength. You want to hang out for our